Welcome to the Hot Rod Hangout Podcast.
Whoop whoop.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Ashley.
So tonight we have Tammy and Robert from Revolt Paint on. What's going on, guys?
Hey, everybody. How are you guys doing?
Oh, living a dream. It's
Yep.
warm. It's hot. It's not even warm. It is still hot.
It is cold in Texas. It is like very cold in Texas.
Whereabouts in Texas are
Right.
y'all?
Houston.
Oh, okay. I don't know
So
why
it's
I
not
thought.
normally cold. It's just cold today and the past couple days.
I don't know why I thought y'all were over this way. I guess just because all my homies that use y'all are on this side of the country.
That's true, but we ship everywhere. So
Yeah,
people everywhere are using it.
Y'all are world. Y'all, yes.
We heard about him from Psycho, so we probably associated with Georgia.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
That's how I had it in my head.
And Houston is a major shipping hub, so
yeah,
it's really convenient for us to be.
yeah, definitely.
You guys going to the are you guys going to the tribute show for Elvis in Florida in Tampa on Saturday?
No. And how do we not know
We're
about
gonna-
that?
Yeah, there's a charity show they're doing. But I was just wondering because we're going to be in Tampa for it, so I didn't know if you were going to be there.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, we're like an hour north of there.
Yeah.
So
Well, you're
who
welcome
knows?
down.
We might find ourselves down there anyway. I don't have a car running right now, but we can figure something out. Daily it, I guess. So it's kind of with the two of y'all to be kind of questions for both of y'all. But what originally got you into the car world?
So for me, it started with just being in paint. So it wasn't really like any specific kind of car or anything for me. Robert's obviously different than me, but just always being in automotive paint is my whole jump into the car world.
I was kind of born into it. My dad's a car guy, and my stepdad was a mechanic also, so I kind of grew up around it. And I was just obsessed with hot rods, and then later on got into mini trucks as a teenager, and then now I'm back into hot rods and customs. And it's just been since I was a little kid, building models, building toy cars, modifying everything.
So you have the normal progression.
Absolutely.
We're close in the, I guess we say the same generation, because that was kind of my progression. Was dad was into hot rods, I got high school mini trucks, and then bikes, and then back into hot rods or old cars.
Yeah.
So what Tammy, you said that you come from the paint world. Revolt this isn't your first company, or you are involved with another company too?
Yeah, so I was I've only ever been in paint. My dad's been in paint since before I was born. So I was born in Florida, grew up in Florida. I was in paint stores my entire life. And then my parents own a company called Tamco Paint, which most people all know. I worked there until 2021, and that's all I ever did. Built the company up and then left, and had something in between that just was a terrible position before I did the Revolt thing. But that was the transition into Revolt, was always being in paint, always being in the auto body world, just with, creating colors and stuff like that. I started creating colors when I was like 10, 11. And then really hardcore started trying to do it more when I was like 13, 14 during the summers. So I've always been in the actual paint world itself. That's all I really know and what I'm really, really good at.
And Robert, were you in the paint world prior, or did Tammy kind of drag you into it?
So I started airbrushing when I was 13 years old. I knew, like I said, I love cars. I knew I wanted to do something with them. And I was very artistic, but I didn't know how to join the two together. And in my head, I kept thinking that my only opportunity to do that would be to be a car designer. But I really didn't like the cars of the 90s, not really. So I didn't really know, what I was going to do, and when you're that age, you start thinking of like, okay, what can I do for a living? What can I, you're trying to figure out your job. And I was actually with my dad. We were outside of a warehouse, um, and we were about to go in, and this car pulled up, and I had seen custom paint jobs before, but I had never seen something that was like very detailed and airbrushed and really just paid attention to it. I'd seen like flame jobs and graphic jobs and stuff, a lot of two tones and stuff, but nothing that was like really crazy artistic. And this car pulled up to the warehouse, and it was just airbrushed front to back, just insane. And right then it just clicked. It was like, this is what I want to do. And so I asked my dad, I said, how'd they do that? And he said, with an airbrush. And so I was like, where do I get an airbrush? And he was like, well, if you work for me this summer, I'll make sure you get an airbrush and everything you need to get started. So I did. I worked with him all summer. I got an airbrush. I got a little compressor. He got me a lot of little paint. And I started painting on everything. I painted on helmets, obviously paper, panels. From there, I got, books and videos, and just started learning anything and everything I could about it. Um, all of my class projects for like art class and stuff, if I got the opportunity to, I airbrushed them all. Um, from there, I knew that I didn't want to airbrush t-shirts. Again, I wanted to be automotive, and my dad knew that. And so he helped me get, he would take me to body shops and everything and introduce me to people that did it. Because he owned a vinyl graphics shop. So we were in body shops all the time anyways, but he would kind of show me, this is their paint booth. This is where they mix the paint, just kind of give me, an idea of what that world is like. Um, then later on, he helped me get a job at a place painting trailers, big diesel trailers. And from there, I was just painting, friends' cars in high school, um, anything and everything. Again, not, that's how I started off from paint. And then I grew it into having my own paint and body shop. I grew that into having a hot rod shop. And then I did that for a long time. And then around the time that I met Tammy was like at the end of COVID. And, I was still painting and everything, but of course it was kind of slow with COVID and stuff. And I went and taught at Tech Over 2. What year was that?
2021.
In 2021. And that's when we first met officially. And yeah.
We met during COVID. That's why I smirked out, over some toilet paper. But
Yeah.
so you're still doing the airbrush stuff now, and does Revolt offer airbrush and pinstripe paint, or is it mainly just, or is it the same paint? I don't know.
We do. We do. I actually created an airbrush line for Revolt, and I do airbrush. Obviously I don't get to do it as much as I used to, but I do airbrush. I still do enjoy airbrushing and pinstriping. We do have a pinstriping line, but it's made by Custom Creative. And it's a very, very good urethane pinstriping paint. They also have an enamel as well that really hasn't been released in the United States, but it will be soon.
Very cool. Ashley bought me a pinstripe kit, and I tried it, and I have not enough patience to.
Yeah.
I have a real problem with if I'm not good at something, like pretty close to immediate. I don't see that I have, and it's like I'm not wasting my time.
And that's rare with pinstriping. I've been teaching classes for 10 years, and I would say maybe one person per class of 20 to 30 people can just pick it up and just do it. Most people, it takes them months, if not years, to get proficient at it. And for me, it took me a very long time. And I'll be honest with you, when I first started, I hated it. I loved airbrushing. Like, I picked that up fairly quickly, I felt like, and I enjoyed it. It was almost like instant gratification. With pinstriping, it was very frustrating. I was only doing it because to complete your graphics or to complete your airbrushing. Sometimes you needed pinstriping or you needed an outline, and I didn't have anybody that I could call to do that. Later on, I fell in love with it, and now I love it. Now I love to pinstripe, but early on, I hated it. I hated doing it because, like you said, it's really frustrating.
Well, and just watching, because we have a couple local pinstripers, and I've stood there and watched them do something, and it's like, I don't even know how you made the brush do that. How did that even come out? It doesn't look right. And then you get down, I'm real research heavy. If I want to learn something, I'll go like deep looking, and there's just so many options of, there's 8,000 different brush companies, 8,000 different brushes that they all make, paints and this, and it's like, well, this brush does this and this one does this, and I'm like, how do you keep that straight in your head? And then one person, I was talking to Mikey Ayers, and he uses this brush, and this is the best brush that he uses. And then you talk to another guy, and he's like, oh, that's a garbage brush. I can never do anything with it. This is the best brush. And it's like, well,
it's all about personal preference. And it's one of those things, it's kind of like how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Pinstriping is an elephant, and you have to find the one little thing that you can hold on to and build from that. You have to find one brush that's comfortable with you for you to use and play with it, and then move on and expand. The brushes I started off with are not the brushes I use now, and I have a little while back I got some of those brushes that I used to use, and I tried to use them, and I hated it. Like, they were awful. But when I first got proficient, I was using these brushes, and back then I loved them.
right.
So again, you're going to evolve and change anyways, but you just have to start small and find one brush and two colors of paint and, beat it to death and then expand from there. Because like you said, it's endless.
Yeah. And even two people doing, even if it's the same, or if you told two pinstripers to do the same design, y'all are able to put your flair on it, and I think that's more why I dig it, because there's only so much you can do to a car to make it different. Mm-hmm. So that pinstripe is the last little change that it makes it, sets it over the top. And the same with, paint. Paint can change a car. The color you pick or the way it gets designed can make or break, because some body lines don't look good in that color.
It sets the mood, and the paint is the first thing you see.
Yes.
When you walk up on a car, that's the first thing you see. And then you start seeing things like wheels and gaps and chrome and stuff like that. But paint's first.
Well, I think is it the new Camaro, the copper color? That's a beautiful color. Not on that car though.
Yeah. They don't look. A lot of the colors on the Camaros don't look good. Like the silvers don't look good because they just look 4 different colors on those cars. The way the body line is, it's just a weird designed car. The newer ones.
Yeah, when they released that car, I was like, oh, that color's bad, because I love copper. And I'm like, that's going to be a bad car. And then I seen one in person. I was like, that looks like baby shit. Because it was just, it didn't work. And then somebody else painted, I seen, there was a mini truck at Slamfest that was painted similar color. And I was like, oh, it works. When the panels are flat, it works. But when you have all the intricate body lines. I think a lot of colors
look really good on trucks. Yeah. Like, you'll notice a lot of times trucks just have the way that their styling is, no matter what kind of truck it is, colors seem to look really good on trucks.
Modern muscle cars have a lot of sharp edges.
Yeah.
And those sharp edges reveal flops within the color that, again, sometimes may not look good. Or like you said, it may look really weird. It looked like, 5 different colors.
Mm-hmm. And you can use that to your advantage, because I've seen some colors that didn't, you didn't think would look good, or you put something, especially y'all. I've watched some of y'all's videos, and you pull the paint stirrer out, and I'm like, I don't even. That's crazy. What y'all can do with a can of paint is crazy.
And it's funny how different it looks when it's sprayed out.
Yeah, and
Sometimes it looks 1,000 times better, and then sometimes it doesn't look as good at all. It's just funny.
Sometimes it doesn't work. She's amazing at making colors, and she's really quick at it most of the time, and she can just make beautiful colors. I would say one time out of 50, she'll make a color, and I'll go spray it, and I'm like, this don't work, or it doesn't look good, or it doesn't cover, or whatever. And then she'll have to redesign it or reformulate it, but most of the time she kills it.
It's crazy how much attention those color videos get. Just the stir videos, something as simple as a stir video.
Mm-hmm.
I had one recently on Instagram that went viral. It's almost at like 3 million. I have a bunch on TikTok that are over 1 million just for stirring in a can. That's it.
It's just so
But the one thing that I
memorizing.
try to do, yeah. So I try to make it a little bit different because like I've been doing stir videos for like the last 8 years. And that's something that I would do on a regular basis. But people just kind of like a quick stir and they maybe put music behind it. And I used to do that too, or I would just use some music. But then I was like, I'd rather just do the stir video where it's slightly educational. Like you're explaining what the color is, what the color looks best over, like what the mix ratio is, all those kind of things. That way, at least you're learning about the color and you're not just looking at the color. So I try to change that up because no one else does that. They just, put a quick video up of it being stirred, but you don't know what the price is. You don't know what the mix ratio is. You don't know if it looks better over black, white, or silver, or, any of those things. So that's something I try to change on those.
And all that changes.
Right. And for some colors, like it might not matter, but for so many of the colors that I make, because they're so clean and they have so much pearl and stuff like that, like the undercoat makes or breaks some of these colors.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them will look like trash if you choose the wrong color. And then some of them just come to life when you put them over the right base.
I forget what color it was. Andrew Novak. He was talking about they sprayed this color and it looked great, but they didn't know what it was sprayed over. So he was trying to figure out how to get it back close to what it looked like because they had sprayed it over white and it was, I think it was darker, and they sprayed it over black and it was like it basically made it look black, and you put it in the sun and it wouldn't, nothing would flash. It just looked like garbage. And come to find out, it was like not really the color that they were sold on. It was from another company.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that a lot from a lot of the different other companies. And a lot of times, something that I try to always do is make sure that the coverage factor is there as quick as possible. And a lot of the other companies, I don't know if it's just because they haven't been doing it as long, so they haven't quite figured out the right ratio of having it pop and having it cover, because there's an absolute science to that part of it. But or maybe it's just a cost thing, like where they don't make it cover because they're trying to make it cheaper. But that's the biggest thing that I get complaints about from a lot of other companies, is that they just don't cover well. So I've always wanted to make sure that colors cover in no more than 3 coats, because that's less money you have to spend towards paint. It's less time you have to walk around a vehicle. And it's just better all around if you can get it done faster.
Every color that we sell or that we make, almost every color, I'm not going to say every color, but almost every color, I spray it before we put it on the website, before we sell it. And we usually spray it over a couple different bases so we can just kind of look at it and so we can make those suggestions. And if it doesn't cover in 3 coats, so usually reformulate it. Obviously, there's some exceptions to that. Some of the pinks and stuff, to get them to look the way that we want them to look, it has to be, in the 4 to 5 coats.
Yeah.
But most colors, 3 coats, and they got to cover and they got to look, exceptionally well over one of the 3 colors of base, whether it's black, white, or silver, whatever, depending on if it's a candy or what.
I made this one pink. It's on this Corvette that's pretty popular, that kind of went viral for a little bit. And it took like 9 coats for it to cover over white, which I was shocked that it would take that many coats. So the guy did it. He was frustrated, but it looked absolutely amazing. So then we were like, we got to change this. We got to fix it to where it doesn't do that. So then we came up with a solid base, a solid, really bright pink, to where if you put that down first and then you put this other color over top of it, it only cut it down to where you only needed 2 to 3 coats. So it made it where you wouldn't need that look, but it looked you wouldn't need that many coats, but it looked exactly the same.
Yeah. So you have 2 coats of base and then 2 coats of the pearl effect color on top of it, and it looks, insane.
And on this particular Corvette, like the newer Corvettes, the body lines on those things are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So like on this pink color, it's like a pink candy pearl. It just looks amazing on this car.
It just screams on that car.
And paint is another one of those things that there's so many different options or not necessarily options, but different kinds of paint and different this and this. Because I'm trying to help the process along of getting the caddy. So I started doing body work and a little bit, and I have a buddy that's helping me, and he does paint. So he knows what he's supposed to do. So I send Psycho a picture, and he's like, hey, make sure you do this. And I was like, hey, he says make sure I do this. Are we doing that? And he's like, yeah, we're doing that. I'm like, okay, it's done. And because candies and pearls and this and that, and I got Metal Flake. A lot of Metal Flake makes sparkles. I like that. But candies and we were talking because I knew I wasn't going to have it painted for our show. So it was like, okay, well, can I do like a temporary paint to protect it, to that way when I take it up to you, you can just shoot the color? And he's like, well, yeah, you could do this. And well, if you just do it this, and I'm like, so finally I was like, I'm just going to get y'all two in the same room and y'all can talk it out, and we'll figure out if I can have it in some sort of color for our show, or if it's just going to look like a cow with rattle can spray painted over the patch panels. So on the paint side, not to get too nerdy, but I'm kind of curious. So what, and don't go into like proprietary or anything like that, but what goes into, what makes you go, okay, I want to create a color, this color? What drives you to change a color? Is it a customer that's calling and saying, hey, I want a crazy blue that doesn't exist yet? Or do you just see a color and you go, I think I can make that better?
So when I originally did it, when I was younger, it was because everybody kind of knows like House of Color. That's kind of like the main staple that's been around in custom paint forever. And if you mention it, even people that don't paint or never have painted will probably know what House of Color is. So for me, it kind of started with wanting to try to replicate those colors, but make them better. And that was my thought process. So then when I created an entire custom line when I was at Tamco, the idea was I didn't want to make those same colors because I didn't want to look like I was copying those colors, because I don't want to copy those colors. And I tell people I don't like copying other people's colors. My thought was I want to try to make it that much better, that much more like intense, that much more vivid. And that's what I would do. So when I started doing it, I'd be like, okay, well, I want a badass. I think the very first 3 colors I made when I was at Tamco was a lime green, like a killer metallic lime green, a bright pink, and then a purple. Those were my 3 first colors that I did. And for the pink, it didn't look like anybody's pink prior. I wanted it to be a metallic, and I wanted it to be super clean. And like even in House of Color, they don't have a pink truly. It's very magenta. It's very purple. And like girls mostly are very particular about pink because so many people call things pink that are not pink. So when it comes to paint, I was like, I want a bright ass pink. I want it to look pink. That way it's, what this needs to look like. So that was like what I would do is just try to find something that I know that a lot of people would want, but then try to make it look the best way that it could possibly look, if that makes sense. Like a lot of colors, when I would like go back and look at the House of Color book now, what I thought, when I was 13, I thought it was amazing. When I look at it now, and this is not to knock House of Color, it's just I don't find any of the colors clean. They're just very dingy, and they just don't have the intensity that you see in color today. And maybe that's because they didn't have the right ingredients at that time when they first did it, or they just, they didn't care to create something like that, or whatever it may be. But I just wanted to make sure that everything was just like got your attention. You know, when you saw it, you're like, oh, that's badass. And that's kind of like what I want. That's like what I would have in my mind when I make a color is I want to try to like outdo what anybody else would think is cool.
And then from the outside looking in, I can tell you that she draws inspiration from anything and everything. For instance, recently there was a picture of a car that was AI that people were sharing around and everything, and it was getting a lot of attention. And the color on it was gorgeous, and we didn't have anything like that in our line. So she immediately went over there and started mixing and making it, and we sprayed it out, and it was beautiful. And then obviously customers do ask for specific colors, or they'll say, "Hey, I like this color from this car, this paint coat or whatever, but it doesn't have enough pizzazz or sparkle
Right.
or whatever. Can you modify it? Can you make it better?" And sometimes she'll modify the original, but sometimes she'll start from scratch because sometimes modifying the original would come out muddy or whatever, you know.
I like when I formulate colors, like a lot of people might be surprised to hear, but I like colors that have two things in it. I like colors that sometimes have three things in it. Most colors that are on factory vehicles have like 6, 7, 8 colors in them.
Yeah.
And every time you add something into something, the more you just kind of dirty it up. And I don't like that. So some of the best colors I've ever created are just 2 ingredients. And it might just be like a solid color and it might be a metallic, or it might be a solid color and it might be a pearl or whatever it is. And it's just, to me, keeping it simple is what makes my colors. And a lot of people will say, like, I knew you made that color. Like, it looks like something you would have done. Because a lot of times my colors don't look like what other people's colors look like. And if they do, and this is not being arrogant, but if they do, it's because they copied me originally. So then they try to copy that same color. But I've always just tried to, I don't know how to explain it, but just try to always just have a color that's just like really, really nice.
Yeah, and because I know what you're saying with the house of colors, and also to roll it back to basically all cars or all, customs or anything like that. What they were working with back then, like you said, they didn't even know that what we have now exists. It was
Right.
It's an
Very
ever changing evolution. You see 50s, 60s customs, and then we do a 50s, 60s custom, and the paint's way better. Back then they had 4 wheel choices. Now we have.
And there's even some new stuff in the last 5 years that is more intense than what I was using 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So even just like the more things they've come out with in just the last 5 years can make a color look better than it even used to look. So let alone something that was created in the 80s. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to look totally different then.
Oh, and also I assume, again, I don't really know a whole lot about painting them itself, but I'm assuming that the equipment that we have now probably sprays better, so you probably get a better paint now because of the technology of that stuff.
Yeah.
Are superior, even in the amount of time that I've been painting. Spray gun technology is, even the technology now is way advanced than what I'm currently using. We did a demo recently with a spray gun that literally tracks the amount of product it uses. And it uses the minimal amount of product, which obviously in the custom paint world is not that important. But when you're doing collision work and you're spraying bumper jobs and stuff like that, every little drop counts.
Like, they know whether or not you're wasting it because you're spraying a thing you're not supposed to be spraying. They are able to track it by knowing how many hours you're using it. They can tell whether or not, like, because to be honest, a huge issue in like body shops is people stealing product. So if they're taking it, they'll know that gun is being logged, and it knows how many more ounces that you were using that you weren't supposed to be using. Or if your paint doesn't add up, because they keep track of how much paint you have. It's crazy how much they're able to track things now. And I know plenty of guys that refuse to use them because they don't want to be tracked.
Yeah. Well, and on a business side, like that right there, on the owner side, that's what you want.
It's smart.
But
it's smart.
On the guy that's shooting the color, if he runs off and sprays a little bit off, or you kind of don't want to be micromanaged, or like you said, also with the custom world, use all of it. It doesn't matter as long as the product comes out right. Doesn't matter.
So, like in the 80s, people were using siphon fed, which meant the bottom of the gun is what held the paint. And then, in the 90s, it shifted over to using HVLP. And then that's what people still use now, but they're using all kinds of much higher modified versions. There's low VLP, low volume. So there's just like a lot of different options. And it's just like when you were talking about pinstriping and the brushes, it's like that when it comes to guns. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a preference on a gun. Some people hate certain brands. Some people love certain brands. You'll have a lot of, it's like I call them the gun wars, because you'll have people that will swear that this gun can't do this. And then you have another guy who did something with the gun that they swear can't work. And it's just all personal preference. But so is paint. And that's one of the biggest things using different brands of paint is a completely personal preference kind of a thing. You'll have guys that swear up and down that, PPG is the best thing ever because they won't switch to something else. But then you'll have another guy say, well, PPG is the worst thing I ever used. And it's just total personal preference.
It even comes down to the reason why we have so many clear coats options is because we have some people that tell us, the 357-66, this is the best clear I've ever used. And then you'll have another guy come in and say, no, the top shelf is the best. Or another guy will come in and say, no, the 357-41 or the Glamour or whatever, but it really comes down to their personal preference and the project that they're using it on.
Oh, and also I would assume environment.
Absolutely.
Like you said, the mission for the paint, because I know,
some products work better in warm, or some products work better with less humidity, stuff like that. So,
like where you guys are, it's super humid and hot during the summer. So paint reacts completely different than it would to a guy who's in, dry climate in like California. It functions totally different. And to be honest, paint prefers not warm, but like a warmer, dry climate versus humidity. It doesn't like humidity.
Yeah, we all, everywhere besides, San Maria, California has to deal with crappy weather.
Some form of it.
It's either cold and snowing or hot and sweaty. Yeah. Except for San Maria. I did the West Coast Customs, was on a road trip, and that was the final stop. And if it wasn't for the government and the taxes and the amount of money that they charge for everything, I'd have told Ashley, load the cars up and come on out. We're staying. I ain't going home.
No, it's a shame what they've done to California because it's absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah. Like the way it looks, there's the ability to be on the beach and be in the mountains in 3 hours or be in the desert. It's crazy cool, but they trashed it, unfortunately.
The thing that kind of got me was, when we take, Ashley's 54, for example, when we take her car somewhere, it's a car show. You pull up and get gas, somebody's going to walk over and go, hey, nice car. Oh, I drove a 55 Crown Vic Custom to the gas station, laid it on its ass like I was, like I would do anywhere, walk across the parking lot, and nobody even said, like, nice car. I'm like, and this is rude. And then you show up and it's like, man, this is it. This is car show. This is car. And we ended up going to a Mexican family's house, lowriders, and the people were like, you're from where? And I'm like, I'm from Florida, and he's from Texas. And they're like, what are you here for? And I'm like, there's a car show. And she didn't even know there was a car show going on. And my face like contorted because there was just, 300 of the baddest cars I've ever seen in my entire life cruising the strip. And the guy like pulls me aside and he goes, the reason she didn't know it was a car show is because that's every day.
Yeah, it's just their culture.
Like, that's it. Like, y'all, he goes, y'all have dailies. These are our dailies because the weather is always sunny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I could live here. This is, you wake up, go outside, throw a hoodie on for a couple hours, take the hoodie off, and you're in shorts and flip flops the rest of the day. And it's like this is perfect. I'm not even sweating. We're there in May, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So May, and it's like you wake up, it's like 60, 65. 2:00 in the afternoon, it's 74. And you're like, this is like perfect. And like you said, the beach, you're an hour from the beach, 30 minutes from an hour to the beach. Oh, you want to go to the mountains today? You want to go to the desert? You want to go do whatever? It's right there.
Then you can go skiing too. Like you can be, in the mountains skiing, or just it's all kinds of stuff.
It's a state that has literally all wet. Like whatever you want to do,
Yeah,
it's a day trip.
it has it. Mm-hmm.
So, what you said you lived in Florida? What made you end up in Houston?
So I was born in Florida, and then I lived there till I was 12. And then my family, my dad had an opportunity to take over a paint store in Virginia, and that's where Tamco is headquartered and where they're out of. So he moved us to Virginia Beach area whenever I was like 12, 13. And then I moved to Houston after I quit Tamco in 2021, is when I moved to Texas. So the in between Tamco and Revolt that we won't talk about, but the in between was when we were trying to come up with what was the best plan for the supplier and what was the best plan for shipping from that supplier. Houston was the best option.
Okay.
So just worked out that way. And then I'll be honest, when I moved here, I was like, I should have moved here sooner. I absolutely love it here. In comparison to where I was living, and Virginia's like, it's not bad. And where I was living at the time, though, was just a lot less to do than other parts of Virginia that I was in at one point. So moving out here, it's like there's always something to do. The weather is really hot and humid, but it could get that way in Virginia too at different times, to be honest. But it's really cool here. And Houston is like, I know it gets a bad rap for a lot of things, but there's a lot of really cool culture stuff, just cultural things in Houston, a lot of things to do with kids. It's a cool place.
There's tons of events. There's, we have some nice car shows, but
yeah, y'all can car show.
Lots of concerts come here. Lots of really great bands come here. There's lots of amazing food here. Houston has a huge food culture. So there's lots of great restaurants, lots of things just to do.
From like every single kind of cultural food you could think of, you could have it here. Like you could drive down the road and find 10 different kinds of food to choose from. That's all amazing. That just tastes delicious. Like you want South African, you can go to a place and you can get South African. You want Korean, you can get Korean. Like they have every option of food.
Beyond that, the cost of living here is way lower than most places with a similar demographic. For instance, I was living in Tampa before I moved here, and our rent for our current house would probably be, if not double, almost triple for the same house, in Tampa.
Yeah,
we have someone that's going to come work for us, and he was saying even North Carolina versus Texas, everything is cheaper here than the things in North Carolina are.
Yeah,
our gas prices are even lower.
Yeah, we made the mistake. We sold trying to get more land, more shop, and the same or lower mortgage, and we ended up doing the complete opposite because I wanted to come back home, and we are real close to the villages, and that makes everything more expensive. And so it's less land, less house, and 3 times the mortgage. So we did exactly the opposite of what we were trying to do. But I have a lot of people that are like, oh, you should just move to Texas. So now I can add another 2 people that say that Texas is awesome. So you might be able to find a taco or 2 in Houston too.
Oh, trust me, you find tacos everywhere. And the tacos are all good. And it's so funny because we went somewhere in Vegas, and a guy from New York came with us. This was last year, and he has one of these tacos in Vegas, which is just a standard Texas taco that we would get everywhere we go.
They're almost like street style taco. Like you would get it at Taco.
He eats this taco, and he's like, "Oh my god, this is the best taco I've ever had." And I'm eating this taco, and I'm like, "It's good, but this is not the best taco I've ever had."
And here's the thing, we live in Katy. literally 5 minutes up the road is a taco truck that is open till 3 o'clock in the morning,
And it's amazing.
and it's amazing. And so sometimes if we're up late for whatever reason, up late working or something like that, and we're like, man, I'm hungry.
Or we come back from a
We'll just
concert.
run.
I'm like, I want tacos.
Yeah, we come back late from a concert, we definitely hit up the taco truck.
Yeah, Texas is another, and I mean Florida's similar, the melting pot, but a lot of states kind of migrate to Texas the same way they do here. So you get a lot of different perspectives, and you hope that they don't bring their state, why they left their state, to your state. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they did that to Austin. So Austin's like that, but that's like the only place that's like that, to be honest.
Yeah.
We go to Austin, and again, a lot of great car shows there.
Yeah.
But it's rough, and it gets worse every year. I still like it. I still go, but every time I look at Tammy, and I'm like, man, I don't like. This sucks, because it's a beautiful city and it's got a lot of amazing things going on in it, but you can just see it just crumble.
Even just the way that they openly allow, like, you'll be in like a really nice part of Austin and there'll be an overpass, and then there'll just be like 100 homeless people, just all tents, everything living, just like they want them there. Like they built a tent city within the downtown part of Austin, and they just let them all be there. And it's, to me, it's like you could situate them in a better place, like, or like a different location or something, but Austin is just a very political city, I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, very.
It does not fit. It doesn't fit Texas, really, if that makes sense. Austin's like a little mini California. It doesn't fit what the mass amount of people in Texas think.
And Texas is also the history, and like everywhere in Texas kind of has a cool piece of history.
Yeah. And culturally different.
Right.
Many different sections of Texas are culturally different too.
Yeah, and if you go, like, for instance, Austin is very different from Houston, is very different from San Antonio, is very different from Dallas, and all of those places are, only a couple hours from each other.
Yeah.
In basically like a big triangular shape, but every single one of those cities is totally different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, DFW. That was the only that's. I mean, I've driven through Texas, but DFW is the only time I actually spent time there.
But even Dallas and Fort Worth, they're next to each other, and they're polar opposites. Fort Worth is very slow. It's very geared toward the cattle industry. It's very wide open spaces, and everybody's friendly and all that. And then you go to Dallas, and it's traffic, and it's lots of buildings and very tight knit. Now, we love Dallas too, but it's just totally different feel.
The 8-lane highway, that was the one that got me. The first time we went to the DFW airport, and it's like 8 lanes. And it's all like a spaghetti.
Crazy. Yeah.
And you're like...
The very first time I went there, I went to go pick somebody up, and I was like... And I think we even had to pay to, like, enter. I think you had to pay to drive in to enter to go, like, pick someone up. And I'm like, this is like going to Disney World. This is weird.
When it's like people exit, and you're like, you exited at the next exit down, and then all of a sudden they're on the other side of you. Like, they made it further, and it, like, circles around. And I'm pretty sure you're, like, you could get stuck in a perpetual loop, and it's
yeah.
And running 80, like, they never know, like, these people take the same route every day, and yet they still don't know that their exit's right there. It's amazing.
Well, that's the other thing about Texas too, is like everywhere you go, you have to be going. 80 is like the 55 that everybody like. 80 is the standard, and if you're not going 80, at least you're being passed in general.
Yeah, you're going to get run over.
On some of the roads, if you're not going at least 90, you're still being run over. And the thing is that they don't really. Since I've lived here, like, luckily, but since I've lived here almost 5 years coming up, I've never been stopped for speeding, and I speed everywhere. I've never been stopped once.
I've almost never seen anyone stop for speeding ever.
Yeah.
So we live right off of Katy Freeway, which is. I think it's like 8 or 9 lanes wide, and it's crazy. And it's the same way. It's like it's a straight shot, and everybody does 90 miles an hour, and you'll see a police officer on the side of the road just watching everybody, and he's not pulling anybody over for speeding. Now he'll pull the people over for
HOV. If you're in
dangerous.
HOV, you're not supposed to be
Yeah.
pulling you over every time.
Yeah, if you're in the HOV lane and you're by yourself, you're getting pulled over if they see you, generating revenue there. But you never see them pull anybody over for speeding.
So, as a painter and owner of a painting company, you got any cool cars that tucked away, and or are they just normal custom color cars?
So we have a couple projects right now in the works. Tammy owns 2 projects at the moment. She's got a 68 or 69 Volkswagen Beetle, and then she's got a 63 Lincoln Continental.
Okay,
nice.
4-door fit. Yeah. And then I've got a 54 Chevy sedan delivery, and then I've got a 59 Chevy Apache, and then I've got a 32 Ford Roadster and a coupe, and a 29 Model A Roadster, and then I've got another 54 coupe, but it's kind of more of a parts car, and I think that's where we whittled it down.
Trust me, he'd have everything if he could.
I was gonna say 2 as a rookie number, but then you got the project side.
So before I moved, I was in Florida. I had 2 acres. An acre and a half of it was fenced in, and I had about 20, and then my best friend had about 20 there, and then we had probably about another 20 to 25 customer cars. Some of them being worked on, some of them we just were storing for them or on the lot or whatever. So I whittled it down a lot.
Yeah, we had we always joke because we don't have a lot of space, but at one time there was 8 cars here.
Yeah.
And it was like I accidentally bought a C10, and people laugh like, "How did you accidentally buy it?" No, it was legit accident. A guy was taking a C10 that ran to a swap meet, had a title, and he wanted stupid money. And I was like, I basically slashed the price almost in half. And I was like, if it doesn't sell, I'll buy it for this. Well, he took it. No one really bid on it. So he calls me. He's like, hey, were you serious? And I was like, yeah, I gave you my word. I said I'd buy it if it didn't sell. But you still got tomorrow to go back to the swap meet. He's like, I don't feel like taking it. You want it? And I was like, yeah, I guess.
Still had it on the trailer, so he delivered.
He delivered it for the undercut price. I was like, yeah, it was way rougher than I was expecting. So I was like, I'll just pull the motor and trans out of it, and I'll throw the body back up on Marketplace. And then, oh, well, what are you doing with that truck? I'm going to pull the motor out of it, and I'm going to put it on Marketplace. Well, let's make a deal on it. Well, he was moving, so it had to live in my backyard for 3 months. Mm-hmm. It's
Wait, he took the truck back?
No, the kid that I worked out a deal with, it's a mutual friend, and he was like, there's no way it's not going to sell, so he wasn't even mentioning it to come get it. And then I'm like, well, I'm going to snatch the motor and trans out of it, and then I'll put it up on Marketplace, and whatever I get, I get. And it wasn't even in my yard. He just dropped it off, and the kid come over, and he's like, what are you doing with that truck? And I told him, he's like, well, let's make a deal on it. So we made a deal, and he's like, but I'm moving, so like I can't take the truck. And I was like, okay, well, I'll pull the motor and I'll put it in the backyard. Well, then it was like, all right, man, I need you to get your truck out of my yard because I'm running out of space now. And then it was, I was doing a Model A project, and originally we were gonna do a road trip driving to California, and Ashley's like, hey, I'm down for a lot of stuff, but like chop channeled Model A with a tunnel ram, 6,000 mile round trip. Where are we putting luggage? And I was like, well, that's a good question. And she's like, and we need to sell merch to try to pay for the trip along the way. So where are we putting that at? And I was like, oh, that's a really good question. And then I got offered the Cadillac, and I was like, hey, I got a trunk and a back seat. We're good. So then the Model A got shoved over in the corner of a small, tiny carport. And it's like, I got to get rid of stuff. I'm getting where I can't. I need room to work. So definitely, I can understand the whole like slowing down and then you grow back up and slow down.
You told him he can't have anything else unless he finishes one.
Yeah. So right now I've got the 54 sedan delivery. I've cleaned out the shop. The 32 Roadster body's in there, but it's standing up out of the way, and I'm just working on it every day, an hour or two in between things, and going to try to knock it out. And then I'm going to do her bug next. I kind of want to try to do her bug and maybe get it and us take it to SEMA and have it as part of our display. So we'll just kind of have to see if that works out. But our display's not that big, so a bug would fit within the parameters versus my car probably wouldn't.
And definitely not that 63.
Definitely not the 63 that's 20 feet by itself.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I first picked up the Cadillac. You know, we had a little enclosure, or we had a flat deck trailer that the 54 210 fit on perfect. So I'm like, well, that's the trailer I got. So that's the trailer that's going to pick this Cadillac up. Mm-hmm. Trailer pulled absolutely amazing till I put that Cadillac on it. And then it pulled like absolute dog shit. And cars hanging off the back 4 foot. And I'm like, this is... Yeah. And then me and Psycho were talking, and I'm like, man... Well, it was actually me, Psycho, and Josh. And I'm like, man, if all three of us show up with the same car, like, we're going to have our own zip code. That big old Suburban,
well,
the 60s.
I'm like 10 feet after the back tire.
And I guess he's talking about switching the rims out, too. He's going to a different rim now.
Car?
Oh, no, Josh's.
Okay.
Yeah, but Psycho, his 62 long, 62 Cadillac, and then Josh with the Suburban. I mean, that's pretty much, that's a small town. But Josh is getting, he's doing the door jams now, I think.
I think he just recently did them.
Yeah. Unveiling a truck that got unveiled. That's crazy to me. Like, which I ran into him. We ran into him because he unveiled it at Mini Nats, and then he come down here to, what show was that?
I don't remember.
All right, anyway, Made of Steel. And you couldn't get within 100 feet of that truck without getting bumped into, or I'm like, he had to have security because like there was everybody's just swamping him, asking him questions. That paint is killer, by the way. And then
even years ago before it was painted, back when it was just the solid orange.
Yeah,
that's where I met him at Battle in Bama, back when it was still in Mobile, and it was popular then. And back then it was, it still needed a lot of work. He still had a lot of finished work to do on it and everything. And of course, he's went back and redone a ton of things since then. It was a killer truck back then.
Yeah.
So I'm sure now he gets all the attention.
Well, just the amount of body drop on that, because it's 5 inches below the frame. And then the fact that he fits a 33 18.5-inch wide tire and tucks it nice, like, because that was one of the things I noticed. I just thought, oh, it's on big wheels, and then you look and I'm like, and that lip is wider than a normal rim. So with the hot rod, that's a real good example of blending genres of cars, because we're all doing the same stuff. Mini truck guys call it body dropping, old school hot rod guys call it channeling. We're all swapping motors. We're all making them fast, painting. Well, some of us paint them. But, so, Revolt, where can people find you? Anything else that you want to tell us about your company?
So you can go to revoltautopaint.com, and that is where everything that we have is listed. You can purchase everything and put in your shopping cart, and we'll ship it directly to actually anywhere in the world now. We primarily had focused on the United States, and we actually ship to like Alaska and Hawaii too, where a lot of people don't ship. We ship there. And then we were focusing, a lot on Canada. We ship to Canada. And then after TikTok kind of like has really taken off, it just gets so many people that are from around the world, and we just keep getting hounded about, shipping worldwide. So we started doing that. The issue is it's still very expensive for shipping, but we do offer it. But anything that people are looking for when it comes to paint supplies, we have almost everything on there, even down to like tape and sandpaper and mixing cups and all that kind of stuff. We always offer free shipping over $500. And we don't just do custom paint. So a lot of people will look at like Josh's color or, the TikTok, and they'll see all the custom stuff, but we do everything. We do restoration colors. We do, colors from the 1920s. We do obscure colors that are hard to find that a lot of companies aren't even doing anymore. So a lot of times you go into like a paint store, let's say it's like a PBG paint store, and a lot of the colors from like the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s, they used to mix them in the normal Deltron line. But because they're doing away with that line, they've now done it where you can't get them, or you have to get them in only water. And a lot of people that are doing these jobs, are doing it themselves, and they're not set up to spray water. So that's hurting, a lot of the do-it-yourselfers who are used to walking into a paint store and they can't get those colors. So we specialize in doing those kind of hard to find colors and doing them in solvent and nailing them, like getting them 100% accurate to what they're supposed to look like.
So, and you can find Revolt on all the social media channels, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and all that. And then we also have a secondary company called Paint Cult. And Paint Cult is an educational company that mainly focuses on teaching how to use the products. Not just our products, any products really. But we teach classes both online and in person. And we do one really big class every year. It's an April 22nd?
24th to the 26th.
All right, 24th to the 26th. April 24th, 26th here in Houston. And it's huge. Last year we had about 160 students, and this year we're estimating around 200 students with about 30 to 40 instructors. And we bring instructors from all over the country. Some of the most talented custom painters in the world come and teach for 3 days. So it's a lot of fun.
It's very cool that y'all are also taking the time to give back to education and stuff.
Yeah, that's a big important thing for us, and it's been part of our mission statement with Revolt since we started it. And even before, even going back to Tammy with Tamco, like I said, I met her because she asked me to teach at one of their classes.
My thought has always been that people struggle using products because no one tells them how to use the products. And in a lot of industries, you'll have people that, gatekeep, and that's just kind of a thing in a lot of different industries where there's a lot of guys that want you to just learn the hard way because that's how they learned, and they think that's that way everyone has to learn. And my thought process has always been that you're delaying everything by doing it that way, and you shouldn't have to waste your time and money and all of doing it wrong for years before you can do it right. And if someone taught you how to do it right away, then you have less problems with the paint, and it's just easier. So a lot of times the problems that people have with paint is just because of lack of education. They don't know how to use it. And if they knew how to use it, they wouldn't struggle with it. And you wouldn't have all of these, we have a Facebook group, and that's where we're very present. And, other paint companies don't do what we're doing when it comes to having like a group where you have direct contact with the owners and you're answering tech questions and you're doing things like that and answering all of these questions. And what I found is half these questions most people would not have to ask if they just had someone telling them how to use it from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And then so many mistakes that happen where they have to spend more money on products and then more labor and all of those other things is just because no one told them how to use the products.
And wasting time, which is something you can't get back.
Yeah. And also a little bit of guidance goes a long way.
Oh, for sure. And it's not just that, it's like the guidance of doing it right.
Yeah. And
because in this industry, there's so much guidance doing it wrong. And when they're doing it wrong, it just keeps that whole myth of doing it the wrong way continuing to go. So we were very much always trying to correct those myths and be like, this is not the right way. You need to change it and do it this way. And then you'll have a better end result.
The
Part of us doing that is part of why so many people do recommend us. So whenever you were saying, you know, like everyone's saying you got to get with Revolt, and part of that is just because we are so present on a way that most people are not. You know, even like Thanksgiving, we had a huge sale. You know, we were answering, you know, calls and texts and doing tech calls, you know, during while people were eating. And that's just what we're used to. And then people always like, oh, I feel terrible. You know, I'm sorry for bothering you. Or what time do you stop answering your phone? And I'm like, I don't. I don't stop.
We both are answering questions or whatever from the time we wake up till the time we go to sleep. And then, you know, when she was still dealing with the baby, she would be answering tech questions at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd roll over and I'd see her answering emails or whatever. And I'd be like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm just catching up on tech questions or email.
yeah,
It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Go to sleep.
but and it's something small because I have that no sleep thing too, and it's something small to you, but it means a lot to the person on the other end.
Absolutely.
For sure. And people have made those comments. They're like, she helped me at this time in the morning. I'm like, don't keep bragging about that because then people are going to get used to it.
Well,
I was a you know a user. I was a customer of the products for a long time, way before you know I became part owner. So my mindset kind of comes from that, and I know that I would have appreciated that a lot. And I have had some tech reps in the past that went a little bit above and beyond, but I've never seen one that goes like what Tammy does.
Well, I mean, even our first conversation was, "Hey, I want to get you on an episode," and you're like, "Here's my number. Text me." And I was like, "I wasn't expecting a thing. I'll have her write you," because I fully, I think it was 11 o'clock at night, and I just shot you a message thinking, okay, tomorrow, you'll get on and see that I wrote you, and we can start a conversation. I get an immediate text back like, "Hey, yeah, shoot me a text message. We'll do this," and I'm like, I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, and we're pretty much always on, and we're trying. We try to keep up. Yeah, because it's a lot.
It does get overwhelming. And on that side of things, anyone that's listening to this episode, understand that people also have lives. We have to, yes, we want to help you, but don't get mad when it takes me an hour to get back to you, especially with time differences.
Like I was saying that to her, I was like, I totally did not put together that it was a different time zone, and that because are you Central or are you Eastern?
Eastern.
Okay, because some parts of like Florida, like Tampa and stuff, is Central.
No.
So like you're the same.
No, Tampa's not.
Tampa's not, but
Pensacola. Right? Pensacola.
Yeah. Then it's the same time zone. So that's I only was like, I was like 7 o'clock my time.
when I moved from Pensacola to Tampa, it messed me up so bad.
We run into that a lot because, right now we're doing a Rat Rod Build Off, the Builder series, and, we're talking to everybody. And the gentleman that I recorded with last night, he's like, was it 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock my time or your time? And I was like, well, we said my time, but it's different. And he was like, oh, okay, well, call me.
Yeah.
So then, a lot of times talking to people, you kind of make a friend, and stuff that doesn't need to be on the internet, you want to bullshit after the podcast. So we're bullshitting, and I look over at my phone, and I'm like, hey man, I got to go to sleep. I got to go to work tomorrow. And he's like, it's only 12. And I'm like, no, it's 1. Ashley come in and told me good night an hour ago.
That's funny.
So, one piece of advice, whether it's business side, whether it's painting side, one piece of advice that you would give somebody that's trying to get into this.
My piece of advice is if you really are passionate about it, like you truly love what you're doing, then it's not a job, and you're willing to put all of the effort that it requires to make it successful and to make it work. And then you don't feel like you're doing it for no reason. You feel like you're doing it because it's fulfilling something that you yourself are passionate about. So for me, I think a lot of people see that because I truly do love what I do. And I don't wake up and hate wanting to do what I do. I enjoy it. And I think if you enjoy something, then you'll get good at it. And then you won't, you won't wake up and be like, oh, it's Monday. I don't feel like that. I don't wake up and say it's Monday. It's not like that for me. So that's my piece of advice.
Mine would be, you have to love what you're going to do because you're going to suck at it. And you have to suck at it for a long time and accept that you're going to suck at it. And the way you know you love it is like, for me, I will airbrush for no money. I will wake up and go out and set everything up and paint, not for anybody, not for any reason, not for any purpose, just because I want to.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can find something like that you're passionate about and that you love it and that you're willing to suck at it, you can turn that into something that becomes something. And it may not be, like for me, I do not really make a living airbrushing. I make a living selling paint. But I use my airbrushing knowledge and my love of it to create, airbrush colors and to create content. And it's also a lot of fun that I get to just try out all the colors and all those kinds of things. So that's it. Just be willing to suck at something long enough to get good at something, and then let that lead you where you need to be.
And it says a lot about companies, because dealing with parts or dealing with certain things, it shows in the customer service of somebody that is just selling a product, and then also somebody that has a background in doing what you're trying to do.
And we're involved too. Like we recently went and did a car show in Dallas, and we didn't take the entire SEMA display, but we took the bulk of it, and we probably took way more than we should have. But we wanted to be there. A car that we had sponsored for the Grand National Roadster Show, he competed for Amber. Chuck Stanfield, Hot Rod Chuck, he had his car there. It was his show, but he had his car there too. And we wanted to support. We wanted to be a part of it.
Shout out to Cowtown Stampede.
Exactly. Yeah. We love going to car shows. We love being a part of it. Obviously, we can't do it all the time. We can't do it even as much as we'd like to. But, we love cars. We love that whole thing, everything about it.
Another piece of advice would be for people that I really think that more people should actively try to figure out how to work for themselves. I think that's a huge thing that on so many levels, when it comes to kids, when it comes to school, when it comes to having your own schedule that you get to set and not having to go work and kill yourself for someone that will never respect you, never pay you properly, never truly ever care about you. You could be fired at any moment. It doesn't really matter.
Take control of your destiny.
And you can control every aspect of your life if you are willing to. And I'm not saying everybody's built this way, because they absolutely are not. And not everyone's built to work for themselves. But the ones that have it in them, your life is so much better when you are working for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. So, is there anyone before we get out of here that you would like to shout out or give a spotlight to?
Who we'd like to get a shout out to is obviously all our amazing customers, all the people that supported us in the beginning, all the people that support the sales, and then all the people that come to the classes and support those, and of course all the amazingly talented instructors that put in the time to come and teach. Some of these people volunteer. And we just appreciate these people so much. And it would be a very, very, very long list. We would probably have to do 2 or 3 more podcasts to name them all, but they know who they are. And those are the people we want to say thank you to.
And thank you to you guys for even offering us this ability to even have this conversation.
Absolutely.
With both the companies. So the shout out should go to you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'd like to, before we get out of here, we'd like to invite you. I know y'all are in Houston. I know it's a little bit of a trip, but January 3rd, the Hangout. It's our 2nd anniversary show. It's at the museum, Don Garlett's Museum of Drag Racing. food truck, pinup show.
Very
Johnny
cool.
Jalopy did
That's
our
such a cool
logo.
spot. That's such a cool spot for a car show. I've back when I was pin sharpening car shows, I did a couple there.
Yeah. Well, they used to.
You're gonna have Don there too.
Yep.
You will
So,
be, so I can go there and talk conspiracy theories with him.
and yes, and he'll be able to hear you.
Awesome.
Because shout out to Don, he's getting cochlear implants, so he won't have to use his phone to communicate anymore.
Ooh, very cool. I was recently watching him do this whole it was this whole video on YouTube, and he was talking about like the moon landing being faked and everything. And I was watching, and I was like, I didn't know this guy. Like, I like this guy.
Yeah. So last year he wasn't supposed to be there, and I went up Friday to set dumpsters and kind of finalize like how we're gonna set it up.
Mhm.
And one of the guys that works for him was like, yeah, man, I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off because I got to get Don's garage ready. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, he's coming to your show. And I was like, no. He was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, that's awesome. And speaking of Cowtown Stampede, Randy Jackson with the Gasser Garage and Misty with her 53. So that setup came to our show. They got the longest distance driven award. And to see Randy Jackson riding around on Don's golf cart bullshitting cars like made my day.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And so this year he's going to have his garage open. We try to mimic, it's not a trophy hunter show. We try to mimic showing up at your buddy's garage. The old, it's just a hangout, catch up with people that you don't get to catch up with all the time. I'm not going to say that we're a destination show. Obviously we would love for people to come all across America, but we also understand that it's a trip. But we can say that our weather is better than 90% of America in January. So,
Yep.
That's true.
we can't compete with California. And Texas is about the same.
It's going to be cold in January in Houston, so.
Does it get cold?
Yeah. So it's kind of like we were talking about before, it's cold now. It's not normal cold now. But like LST 3 years ago, LST, the one they have in Conroe.
Yeah.
It was almost snowing. It was freezing. It was in the 30s. It was terrible. So January, but kind of more February in Texas, it actually gets very cold.
Yeah, there's a 2 to 4 week winter.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like ours. We get little tiny cold snaps and then it warms back up.
Yeah.
You wear shorts on Christmas and then it gets a little cold for New Year's.
Right. It'll be super cold and then 2 days later it'll be 80.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's very similar.
To me, it does feel like it gets colder here for a little bit longer. It's a long enough cold here that you actually have to have a coat.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, make sure you go show Why Not Fab some love on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Make sure you go check out Throttle Addict. Use the code word HOTROD. Save 15% off. Johnny Jalopy, Facebook, YouTube, JohnnyJalopy.com. Wrenching for the Future. You check them out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Psycho Fab. And we definitely want to shout out Mike Rio with Rio's Photography. He is going to be the official photographer of the Hangout 2026. Also, any orders on HotRodHangout.com until the end of the year, you get a free gift, sticker, koozie, something, and any order in January that includes a 2026 Hangout shirt will also come with a free little gift. Till next time, guys, get out and drive your shit. Later.